Welcome to Odds.com's NCAA basketball coverage with our expert Maxwell Smart. It is Wednesday, December 16th, late 11:10 p.m. Eastern. This is for action on Thursday, December 17th, and Max comes in hot. Last day with us, he went 8-4 plus 3.60 units. That puts you 59-51, hitting at 53.6% plus 3.01 units. ROI plus 2.74%, average line -110. Max, you're in the black, baby. Great work.
Yeah, Jim. Listen, it's a roller coaster, just like I said from show number one. It's going to be up. There's going to be downs, and the last 4 out of 5 shows have been positive. So the only thing I can do is try and make the right plays for the viewers of odds.com and just try and bet good numbers and hopefully let the players, coaches, and refs do me solid instead of doing me dirty.
And in that 4 out of 5 day run with us, you are up a total of 10.5 units. So absolutely spectacular work, Max. Max has picked out 7 games that he will be attacking on this Thursday, December 17th card. We start out at 2 p.m. Eastern, and we have 3 games at 9 p.m. Eastern. A nice-looking slate, Max. Are you ready to attack, my friend?
I am always ready to attack as long as I got you by my side, bro.
I love it. Let's go. We have 7 books that have opportunities for you, legal licensed American books for this 2 p.m. Eastern spot. And the best one coming in is Circa looking like the best odds. So that gives us an 8th book for this 2 p.m. game. For the rest of the games, we're going to be focusing on FanDuel, Bet365, and Circa. Max starts his card 2 p.m. Eastern. The North Dakota Fighting Hawks, 1-5 on the season, 0-3 on the road at South Illinois Salukis, 3-0, 2-0 at home. We're at Banterra Center in Carbondale, Illinois. At Circa right now, the Southern Illinois Salukis are 6.5-point favorites at -110. This total is sitting at 135. Let's get to work right now. North Dakota Fighting Hawks are sitting at 1-5, but they've been in every game they played. They were last seen playing in 3 games in 3 days in the Dakota Showcase in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where they opened up with a 75-71 win over South Dakota, followed that up with a 74-63 loss to South Dakota State, and closed up the tournament last Saturday night with a tight 53-52 loss to North Dakota State. We have not seen them since. They averaged just 66 points per game. They hit 42.7% from the field. They are led by 6'9" junior Filip Rebraka from Serbia, who averages 19.7 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, hits 53.8% from 3. North Dakota gets very little distribution, only gets 10.7 assists per game, and that star forward, Rebraka, has just 2 assists in 6 games. 2 assists in 6 games for their star forward. Then we get to the Southern Illinois Salukis. They've opened up their season with 3 straight wins. They got their season started with an 87-79 overtime win at Southeast Missouri. Followed that up with a 102-61 home win over Div 2 Quincy Hawks before beating Murray State 70-66 at home. The Salukis have 4 players scoring in double digits and are led by 6'6" sophomore forward Marcus Damask, who averages 18.3 points, 6.3 boards, 3 assists per game. They have nice distribution. They get 16.7 assists per game. And interestingly enough, no one's averaging more than the 3 assists per game that their star forward, Marcus Damask, is averaging. They hit 49.1% from the field. Maxwell Smart, you open your card at 2 p.m. Eastern. Take it away. North Dakota, South Illinois.
Yeah, with Southern Illinois, Jim, obviously you have to take away their D2 performance because that skewed their stats. So I think that all those numbers that you listed off, you probably take a little off the top on all of them, and then you have something a little more accurate. You said it. This North Dakota team doesn't really share the ball, but they just played a bunch of teams that they have a lot of familiarity with, and they have local rivalries with. When they played someone that they didn't have the same kind of familiarity, aka Nevada, not Nevada. I can't remember. Do you remember who the last team that they played that wasn't
part of the Dakota Showcase?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me pull it up.
Because I think that with this North Dakota team, you nailed it. With Felipe Rabaka, he is definitely the focal point of this offense. He definitely will go bucket for bucket with Southern Illinois' Ben Harvey and Marcus Damask. I think that with Damask definitely being a young player, there is going to be some growing pains, but I think that at home, this is an offense that you're going to be able to really depend on. They have very good ball movement. I would even classify it as fluid. And I think that when you look at how they score the basketball efficiently from the three-point line and get to the free throw line and make their free throws, something that North Dakota doesn't do well as a team, that's going to be the difference. When you look at North Dakota, there's still about a 6 to 7 point scoring margin between them. And on the other side, Southern Illinois against SEMO did a fantastic job of coming back, forcing overtime, and then dominating in overtime. So this is a team that has definitely some on-court continuity. I think that they have decent chemistry because a lot of them developed last year in reserve roles. And now I think that as long as they take this North Dakota team seriously and don't get off to a slow offensive start in the first half, I think that they're going to run through North Dakota and they're going to slip them the old pie in the backhand. So
the team you were thinking about there right before the Dakota Showcase was they lost at Minnesota 76-67.
Okay, so in that game, they definitely showed a lot of fight because they were leading that game and then Minnesota had to come back and win it. But I'll tell you this, I think that it was a fraudulent performance. I think it was more indicative on Minnesota struggling from the three-point line and Marcus Carr being the only effective offensive weapon in that game. When I look at Southern Illinois, this is a team that by my numbers, Jim, has an 8-point first half advantage. So I'm going to go with the first half with Southern Illinois. And I'm going to lock in 6.5 right now because I don't think that 6.5 sticks around by game time tomorrow.
I'm surprised that it's even being offered right now. The only other 6.5 is at FanDuel, and that's at -118. Bet America, Bet MGM, DraftKings, PointsBet, Resorts Casino, FoxBet, and Bet Rivers have already moved it to 7. But we have a 6.5 available at Circa right now, full game, -6.5 at Circa. And then what is your range for shopping tomorrow morning for you for a first half bet?
I would probably stop at 4.5, Jim. Anything under 4.5, I'm pretty good with.
Limit 4.5. All right, we are off and rolling. Max backing the South Illinois Salukis. He's got him full game -6.5 at -110 available at Circa right now. He's going to want them first half with a limit of 4.5. And that game pops off at 2 p.m. Eastern, Thursday, December 17th. We roll on, Max, 6 p.m. Eastern. Delaware State Hornets at Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Delaware State, one game under their belt. They've had an interesting start to their season. We'll get to that. Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, you faded, and I jumped with you. And that was the last show we did together. We had Wofford won 88-77, and I'm rolling hot when I follow your action. That was the only game I bet on that day in college basketball, and it was an easy casher. Okay, so let's see what we are dealing with now in this spot. We do not have a line from Circa, so I will then pull up FanDuel and see what we are getting here. FanDuel has Coastal Carolina as 19.5 point favorites. This total at 159.5. Let's talk about Delaware State. After finishing last season 6-26, 4-12 in conference, they started off their season with a 60-point loss, 111-51 at Wake Forest. But that was back on November 25th. So I had to research this. First off, we'll talk about that game briefly. They shot just 26.4% from the field. They turned the ball over 25 times. It was ugly. They haven't played since, and that's not on Delaware State. They were supposed to play Longwood. The Lancers had COVID issues in their program, and then they were supposed to play Delaware, and Delaware had COVID issues in their program. So both of this long delay is not because Delaware State had COVID. So I looked that up, and that is facts. Junior guard Joaquin Wiley led them in scoring in their lone game of the season. We move on to Coastal Carolina, coming off their first loss of the season, astutely predicted by our Maxwell Smart, losing 88-77 at Wofford on Monday night. Junior guard Devontae Jones leads the way for them offensively. Against Wofford, he was 11 of 24 for 25 points, also grabbed 7 boards. He averaged 6.8. He averages 6.8 on the season, Devontae Jones. Max, here we go. Coastal Carolina at home to Delaware State.
Yeah, listen, Jim, we just watched Coastal Carolina. We got a good view of how they're going to play against a competition above their weight rank. And I just think that with Coastal Carolina, you're going to have a different time against this Delaware State team. While Delaware State did play Wake Forest tough, and I would say the first 12 to 13 minutes of the game, they did succumb to a 20-0 run. And that is what Delaware State is. I think that when you look at Wake Forest, you can compare Coastal Carolina. There's definitely a difference in class there. But I do think that Coastal Carolina playing this Delaware State team last year and the style that Delaware State plays will be able to handle it. They put up 92 points last year against Delaware State, and a better Delaware State with John Crosby on the roster. This year, there is questionable offense. First off, you have to talk about Omari Pete Green and John Stansbury. If they're not healthy and in the lineup, which I can't really find out any information at this time about, although I've been harassing their student managers, I just don't know. So if they don't have these two guys in the lineup, I think that Coastal Carolina puts in some work and doesn't really have a lot of resistance on the offensive end. What Delaware State does have on their side is they play with a lot of size. They brought in Zach Kent, who's a local Delaware guy in from Tennessee. He came in that one game of Wake Forest. He had 4 blocks. I don't think that Delaware State's really had a player with that kind of defensive potential in a long time. So he's also going to contribute offensively. You just want to get double digits from him and get some good rim protection. With Amir Bennett, obviously this is a guy that understands the system, can really run and get up and down the floor, wants to get those high percentage looks, those second chance opportunities, and get on the offensive glass is a real easy way for him to get and ones. So you have to be aware of him. And then with the point guard duo of Martez Robinson, the freshman, and then Pinky Wiley, you got to worry about them just trying to slow them down, trying to not let them run on you, because that's what Delaware State wants to do. They want to get a defensive rebound and they want to run. So they have big men that can run. They have guards that are capable and understand it. I think that it's going to be an interesting game for the first 10 to 15 minutes for Coastal Carolina, but I do think that Coastal Carolina is going to figure it out and they're going to bang out. This is a talented offensive team, and watching them give Wofford a real good shot for at least 30 minutes of that game the other day, I have a little more respect for them now, coming off the 3 out of 4 games that they didn't play against D1 competition. Tim Caesar, definitely the sophomore, is going to play a big factor with his 3-point shooting and his versatility. And then Asim Mustafa definitely will have his hands full against some older players that have more experience. So it'll be important for him not to get into early foul trouble, because on the glass, that's where Coastal Carolina is going to depend on him. I think that with Devontae and Tyreek Dixon and Abrima Deba, you're going to get what you get from them. I think that against teams with more size and more athleticism, they're going to be having trouble getting their shots off. But against this defense, I think that they're going to go bonkers. I would be looking at a team total anywhere under 89.5 on Coastal Carolina. And I think Coastal Carolina is going to win this game by 20. So they won by 15 with a better Delaware State team last year. Now they bring in DeAnthony Tipler off the bench with his 3-point shooting and his effective free throw shooting. If they win on the glass, they're going to dominate this team. So Coastal Carolina full game for me, please.
I like it. Let's lock that in right now. Coastal Carolina. Lock it in right now for you, Max. 19.5. It comes with minus 106 juice. So that's not bad. Minus 19.5, minus 106. That's available at FanDuel. And you're looking for a team total tomorrow with a limit of 89.5 for Coastal Carolina. And are we ready to move on to our next spot?
Yeah, I would just say this though. I think that when you look at this total, what total are you seeing right now, Jim?
Right now, I have a total of 159.5.
Okay, so with this 159.5, I think that this is a game that stays under that number. I'm not going to make it official on the show just because what we've seen in college basketball, at least the first couple weeks, the refs have the whistles in their mouth. They're not taking it out to breathe. Instead, they're blowing the whistle, calling a foul, and calling it as they go. So this is why I don't like zebras, and this is why I like zebras getting eaten by lions. But we can move on now.
Okay. Interest in the under 159.5. That game pops off at 6 p.m. Eastern. Next up, we have a marquee matchup. Max has a few of them on his card. 7 p.m. Eastern, number 9 ranked Creighton Blue Jays 4-2, 0-1 in the Big East. At St. John's Red Storm 5-3, 0-2 in the Big East. And we are at Carnesecca Arena in Queens, New York. Here at FanDuel, they have St. John's as a 6.5 point home dog. This total is at 160.5. Creighton coming off their second loss in 3 games, 89-84 at home to Marquette as 8.5 point favorites. They had won 11 straight at home dating back to last season. Creighton led by 9 at the half. At one point late in the game, Creighton was held to 1 field goal over a 5-minute span. The Blue Jays are strong offensively, scoring 85 points per game, hitting 50.8% of their field goals, getting 19 assists per game. It's their defense that let them down versus Marquette and is the questionable spot for this basketball team. St. John's is coming off consecutive road losses, 77-68 at Seton Hall and a 97-94 overtime loss at Georgetown on Sunday. They average 82 points per game on 46.2% shooting, also get a lot of distribution with 18 assists per game. They're led by sophomore guard Brooklyn native 6'8 Julian Champagny, who averages 20.8 points, 7.7 rebounds a game. Marquee matchup, Big East, Max, Creighton, St. John's. Let's roll.
Yeah, listen, Jim, I just had to slow down there for a minute because you gave me a little post-traumatic stress from that Creighton game and that goddamn meltdown. I was standing up against the wall trying to resist the urge to punch it. So instead, I made sure that I bought a nice cherry pie to calm myself down. Okay? Whether I'm eating this or watching American Pie with it, who knows? I'm not telling. But I will say this, though. This is a dangerous spot for Creighton. I think that when we saw Creighton the last time at Carnesecca Arena, we saw Mitch Ballack and Marcus Zagorowski combined to go for 2 for 20 from the field. This is a Creighton team that is very different from last year because there is more emphasis on ball movement in the half court and getting that 3-point shot instead of forcing those turnovers and running in transition and getting layups as fast as you can. I think that's obviously the difference when you have Tyshawn Alexander or you don't have Tyshawn Alexander. I think that when you look at Marcus Zagorowski, he needs to shoot the ball better, be more assertive, and you just need a consistent effort from everybody in the same game to really dominate. I think that against this defense for St. John's, there is definitely the perception there that St. John's can win this game. The issue is St. John's just went to overtime and lost against Georgetown. Like, there's no way that was a look-ahead spot. They were focused on that game, and they couldn't get it done. So now it leads me to believe, well, now you have Creighton coming in. They know that they have trouble on those rims. You have them coming off a terrible performance in the second half. It's it's a hard spot not to get on Creighton, but the number just isn't sexy. This Creighton team doesn't get to the free throw line enough. They're not making 37 to 40% of their threes. They're relying on scoring in the paint a ton this year. I'm just not used to seeing it. So with this Creighton team, the one thing that's remained consistent from last year is their scoring in first halves and their first half dominance. So the only thing I could be looking for in this spot is a team total in the first half under 40.5, and a Creighton first half play at 3.5 or 4. So I don't know if I trust them full game. I want to see them start it out. I want to see them dominate. I want to see them do a better job of not getting dominated on the offensive glass. When you're -4 or -5 on the offensive glass, that's the difference between covering and not. So there's definitely red flags on this game, but the one thing that Creighton will always have is that they have that great ball movement. They limit the turnovers. It's just about finding the balance between their shot selection. And once they do that, I think that they're going to take off. So Creighton first half and a Creighton first half team total under 40.5 if I can get it.
All right, locked in. A team total under 40.5 or first half between -3.5 and -4.5 for Creighton early. That cap makes sense. Makes sense that this is an angry group that should come out firing. And I can understand your look there. All right, there's 7 p.m. Eastern action for Maxwell Smart, Creighton, St. John's. We move on to another giant game at 7 p.m. Eastern. Number 5 ranked Kansas Jayhawks, 6-1 on the season, making their Big 12 debut here, season debut in the Big 12. So is Texas Tech Red Raiders. They're also 6-1. This is their first Big 12 game. We're at United Supermarkets Arena in Lubbock, Texas. Kansas has followed up its season opening 102-90 loss to Gonzaga with 6 straight wins. This game is not on the board right now at FanDuel. It is on the board at Circa. And they have Kansas as 2-point dogs and a total at 133. So Kansas followed up that loss to Gonzaga with 6 straight wins. They squeak by then number 8 Creighton 73-72 and defeated Omaha 95-50. Easy win on Friday night. They score 81.6 points per game. They have 4 players in double digits, and they're led by 6'8" freshman Jalen Wilson, who's averaging 15.3 points per game, 8.7 rebounds a game. Texas Tech is coming off their 4th straight victory, 77-57 over Texas A&M Corpus Christi. All 6 wins have come against Cupcakes. Their only true test came in a 64-53 loss to Houston. They're led by junior guard Mac McClung, who averages 14.1 points per game, but McClung is in the midst of a shooting slump. He is 5 for 28 from the field in his last 3 games. 5 of 28. Big game, Max. Thursday night action. Kansas, Texas Tech, take it away.
Yeah, listen, Jim, let me tell you something. This is definitely the premier game on the board, and I think it's going to be defensive battle. With these Kansas games, definitely you got to be aware because they've gone in and they've done a good job head-to-head and going into Texas Tech and winning. So this is a spot where, listen, Texas Tech has got a lot of talent, but they don't have Kevin McCullough. They don't have Joel Ntwambe. They can get beat down low. And if Jamarius Burton and freaking Mac McClung are in shooting slumps, like you say, well, that's a troublesome freaking development for me because that just puts a lot more pressure on freshman Micah Peavy, who's going to be going up against Abaji and Marcus Garrett, who are fantastic perimeter defenders. Throw in Jalen Wilson has emerged and has become the clutch shot maker for this team. Yeah, it's a dangerous spot to be a Texas Tech player tomorrow. Chris Beard's going to have his guys ready to go from minute 1 to minute 40 because no lead will be safe in this game. Kansas will play till the last minute. When I look at this game, I think that this is a game that definitely both teams probably end up somewhere in the 60s. I don't think that we get the type of scoring. And like you said, Jim, when a team plays a bunch of cupcakes and then it's got to play a blue blood, Well, first off, the refs are going to be on Kansas's side. Second off, they're not going to have the home court environment. So you're not going to have the fans motivating the players in the normal sense when this game gets played on a yearly basis. And, this is just a spot where I think that Kansas is going to surprise everybody. They're going to go into Texas Tech. They're going to win the game. I think that with David McCormick, he's going to have an opportunity to feast against a slower but definitely not a weak defender, Marco Santos Silva. But in this game, I think that Kansas has challenged themselves enough. They've played Gonzaga. They played Creighton. I think that Kansas reminds Texas Tech tomorrow that they're still around and they're still a badass. Beeping beep. So.
Kansas Jayhawks, there's no money line at this point.
Yeah, I'll take the +2. That's fine.
You'll take the +2. It's too bad because there's money lines at FanDuel for all the other games, but this one doesn't have a line or a spread at FanDuel. We have to move to Bet365 and Circa. By the way, Circa has a lower total by a half point than Bet365 at this point. Bet365 still hanging to 133.5, whereas Circa's down to 133. They both are at 2 right now. So we are giving Max Kansas +2 at -110. Available at Circa. Beautiful work, Max. Max backing the Jayhawks. Another bet that makes a lot of sense to me. 7 p.m. Eastern, this game pops off. Now we have 3 9 p.m. games on Max's card. We're going to start out with the Dixie State Trailblazers, 3-0 on the season, 1-0 on the road at Southern Utah Thunderbirds, 4-1, 3-0 at home. America First Event Center in Cedar City, Utah. Let's see what I can give you for a line. We'll start with FanDuel, see what Max wants, and then line shop for him. But FanDuel has Southern Utah -10.5, slightly juiced to -112, and the total at 148.5. Let's go. Dixie State has opened its first season in Div 1 basketball with an unblemished record. They started with a 74-73 win at home over North Dakota. They followed that up with a beatdown over NAIA St. Catherine Firebirds, then went on the road to defeat the Denver Pioneers 73-70. They're led by junior guard Cameron Gooden, who scores 13 points, gets 4 assists, and grabs 3.3 boards a game. After opening their season with an 85-83 loss at Loyola Marymount, Southern Utah's won 4 straight. They also defeated NAIA, St. Catherine Firebirds 95-47, swept 2 games at home over Montana, then defeated Utah Valley 81-71. This is a team that's now been off for 8 days, led by 6'7" junior guard Tevian Jones, who scores 18.8 points per game. Dixie State, Southern Utah, Max, 9 p.m. Eastern action. Let's roll.
Yeah, listen, Jim, with Dixie State, a lot of people are disrespecting them and not realizing that this is a quality team with on-court continuity and lots of chemistry going on, and their best player is working his way back from an injury, still on a minute restriction. So I understand where the love for Southern Utah is. They've done a really good job for your bankroll. They're 4-0 ATS. 3 out of their 4 games have gone over, and they've been in this point range. But I think that the odds makers keep on raising their total. And I think that's accurate. This is a Southern Utah team at home that is able to get 80 points, and they get to the free throw line a ton. That's the bottom line. They get to the free throw line sometimes 26 times a game, and they're making 18 to 20 of them. So they're definitely scoring with the clock stopped. I think that with this team, the most noticeable thing that you have to look at is the fact that last year this team didn't make 3-point shots. This year, with Tevian Jones coming in from Illinois, he has definitely infused something, and they've worked on that shot from that new distance that was only implemented last year. And now Southern Utah has turned into a 3-point shooting machine because they're hitting 8 a game. And it's not like they've done it against all cupcakes aside from St. Catherine. I think that Mason Fawcett's done a fantastic job of scoring down low, getting to the free throw line, and getting on the glass. Him and John Knight and Dre Marin, senior experienced players, all double-digit scorers, playing minutes, playing with fouls also. So this team is just looking real good. Obviously, the Loyola Marymount game was a little bit of a slip up. They got a little overvalued in that game, and they got put down. But you beat up on Montana, and you beat up on Utah Valley, which is obviously a rival in state. But now you're going up against a Dixie State team that you don't have any familiarity with. You don't know. You never played against them. You've watched a little bit of film on them. I think that you got to bring your best game. And I think that Dixie State, what they've shown already is that they're ready to freaking ball with any D1 program that they get on the court with. When you look at guys like Frank Stain and Jacob Nichols, these are guys that are pretty unknown. I had pretty low projections for them, but already they are superseding, though they're exceeding those. Like you mentioned, Jim, Cam Gooden's going to have to be the main offense. He's going to have to facilitate. But don't worry, Frank Stain and him, they play very well on the court together, and they average 8 assists a game combined. So you're getting really good distribution. You get really good ball movement. You get really good team basketball from Dixie State. They're an attractive team when it comes to double-digit spreads. I think you're going to know how I'm going on this game. I think that as long as Dixie State can limit their fouls, share the ball to get the best shot possible, and get to 70 at least, they're going to stay in this game. The 66% free throw percentage definitely is a problem, but the more and more you get Hunter Schofield back and at full 100%, the better off this Dixie State's going to be. This is a guy that even in his 17 minutes a game, he's still averaging 10 and 4. So I can only imagine what's going to happen when he's at full strength and he's starting and playing 32, 35 minutes a game. Until then, we'll have to wait, but this is a Dixie State team that, like I said, plays good team basketball. They do just enough on offense, and they take high percentage looks. If they can shoot 50% from the field against Southern Utah, they're going to be in this game until the last minute, and hopefully they can keep it within 10.5 or 11. So I'm taking Dixie State full game, and I'll be looking to getting on them in the first half, because right now my numbers say that they have at least a 1-point advantage in the first half. So good starting team.
I like this. Dixie State is a school that believes Div 1 teams wouldn't play them because they were such a good Div 2 team that the Div 1 teams were afraid that they'd have this blemish on their record and they couldn't get Div 1 opponents. And now they're in Div 1 Dixie State. And this game means so much to them, in-state rivalry. They've always wanted to go up against Southern Utah Thunderbirds. They also have a game later in the year against Gonzaga, which means the world to all the Trailblazers fans. Max backing Dixie State, and we can get him an 11 at Circa.
Oh, that's what I bet them, Jim, and I love hearing that. God bless Circa.
10.5 at Bet365 and 10.5 at FanDuel. But full game plus 11 at -110 for Max on the Dixie State Trailblazers. Wow. As a fan of basketball, I would like to make this bet. I like it. I like it a lot. It makes my palms start sweating. Max, what's your first half that you're looking for?
Hey, listen, with this, Jim, I think that when the line comes out at 5.5 or 6, I would take that. But I'm a greedy SOB. Borderline POS, and I'm gonna wait and watch that line and see if I can grease it for a couple more points. That may not be possible in the morning, but if I get 5 or 6, I'd be very content and secure riding that out.
But you want me to wait?
Well, we're not gonna get a first half line until the morning.
I know, but when I wake up, I shouldn't just, if I see a 5.5 or 6, I should.
If you see 5.5 or 6, yeah, you should just nail it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We are in business. Max backing the Dixie State Trailblazers. This game means so much to this fan base. All right. We move on to 9 p.m. Eastern big game. Seton Hall Pirates. Big East action. 4-3, 1-0 in the Big East at Marquette. Golden Eagles 5-2, 1-0 in the Big East. We're at Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Let's see what we are dealing with here. At Circa, we have Marquette as 4-point home favorites. We have a total of 143.5. After opening the season losing 3 of 4, Seton Hall's won 3 straight. They started their winning streak with an impressive 98-92 overtime win at Penn State. They followed that up with a 78-45 beatdown of Wagner before defeating St. John's at home last Friday, 77-68. They score 77.4 points per game while hitting 46.4% from the field. They're led by Georgian senior center Sandro Mamukalashvili, who is averaging 20.4 points and 7.4 rebounds a game. Marquette bounced back from their 69-60 loss at UCLA by winning at Creighton, the game that Max and I were talking about, winning at Creighton on Monday night, 89-84. Marquette shot 57.1% from 3. That included going 7 of 9 in the second half. They came back after being down 9 points after 20 minutes, led by our Toronto boy, Kobe McEwen, who's averaging 15.7 points, 4.1 rebounds, 2.6 assists. He scored 18 against Creighton. He played 38 minutes against Creighton, and he is the leader of this Marquette Golden Eagles basketball team. Max, exciting spot here. Big East basketball, Seton Hall, Marquette.
Yeah, Big East basketball is fantastic, Jim, but I'll tell you what, it'll be even better when the UConn Huskies are reigning supreme on all these prima donnas. But when it comes to this game, obviously I have a little bit of emotion in this game, considering what I witnessed and what I was on the wrong side of. But I do think that this Marquette team is set up for the wet up and set up for the letdown. And I'll say this, not because I think that Marquette's a bad team or that Seton Hall is special or anything. I'll say it because Mamukalashvili is the guy. The dude can run the floor. He can handle the ball. He goes coast to coast. What the hell are you going to do? You're going to put freshman Dawson Garcia on him? He's going to run him over and get him in foul trouble like that. Theo John can't run the floor with Sandro. It's going to be interesting to see that particular matchup tomorrow. I think that Seton Hall, although they have not really impressed, they definitely didn't get shook by St. John's attempt to pressure them on defense. They were able to get their tempo and really control it for the entire game. I think that with Jared Rhoden, as much as I hate to admit it, the pretty boy's doing a good job. You know, he's stepping up. He's hitting that mid-range Jimmy. He's getting to the free throw line. He's not settling for the outside shot, which is highly respectable. And with the Seton Hall team, you know, they've been dominating Marquette for a long time. Now without Miles Powell, maybe Marquette's sharpening their claws thinking, yeah, I'm going to feast on these guys. I'm going to serve them a nice cold bowl of cock soup when they come into my building. But I'll tell you this, Seton Hall's coming to Wisconsin with their own cheese, and they're going to be serving up the cheese platters. I think that Seton Hall is coming in, and I think that they're taking care of business. I think that you definitely have to be aware that Marquette's going to throw their best punch at you in the first half. That's where they've done their best work, and that's where Seton Hall has definitely struggled. They've been a little bit of a slow starter, but they do adjust well at halftime. As much as I like to make fun of Kevin Willard for looking like a variety of bald-headed actors on shows I watch, he is a very good adjustment halftime coach. And I think that you're going to see this in this game, especially if they get down. I do have reservations about them playing with a lead, but at 4 or 4.5 points, I think that you still have enough of a threshold, and it's more than a 3-point bucket to take Seton Hall on this spot. I don't know if I'm going to be jumping on Marquette first half, but the numbers would say that you have about a 4 or 5 point advantage. But for show purposes and for the record purpose, I'm going to only take Seton Hall full game.
+4 at -110. Bet365 has already moved it to 3.5. Although with that 3.5, it comes with +105 juice. But the 4 is available at Circa. Very interesting cap here. Max backing the Seton Hall Pirates +4 at -110. Available at Circa for Big East basketball. Max, you have one more game on your card this evening, 9 p.m. Eastern. We head to the West Coast. UC Irvine Anteaters, 2-3, 0-2 on the road at Loyola Marymount Lions, 3-3, 3-0 at home. Gersten Pavilion, Los Angeles, California. UC Irvine 2-3 on the season, but 0-3 against Div 1 teams. Let's see what we are getting for a market. Loyola Marymount sitting at 4.5-point favorites with a total at 142.5. UC Irvine coming off a 91-56 beatdown at USC. They lost by 35 points as 10-point underdogs, and they've had 8 days to dwell on that ass kicking. They have 10 players averaging double-digit minutes. No one playing more than the 20.4 minutes leading scorer freshman guard Dawson Baker plays. He's averaging 12.6 points per game. He's also hitting 46.2% from three. Looks like they got a good one on their hands. After losing at UC Santa Barbara on the first half of a home-and-home, 69-58, Loyola Marymount made it a perfect 3-for-3 at home with an 81-76 victory over UC Santa Barbara on Saturday night. Loyola led by 6'6 senior guard Eli Scott, averaging 14 points per game, getting 9.5 rebounds a game. His scoring has slightly dipped from his junior season, but his rebounds are up, and he is a leader on the floor. Max, 9 p.m. Eastern action. Last game on your card. We're out on the West Coast. UC Irvine, Loyola Marymount.
Yeah, Jim, let me tell you something. I don't like UC Irvine. I don't like how this team is playing. I don't like the roster makeup. You may think that Dawson Baker is a nice piece. I think that he's a bum, and he should quit school and go flip burgers instead. But no, I'm not actually serious about that. I just think that this UC Irvine team has just had such a rich history of having quality guards. And with DJ Davis and Dawson Baker, I just don't see the potential in them. With UC Irvine, obviously, you still have Jerron Artest and Isaiah Lee playing your starting 1 and 2, and they're even less impressive to me. The one thing in this game that's going to be interesting from a personnel perspective is the battle of big men. You got Brad Green and Colin Welb going up against Kelly Luapepe, Matthias Markuson, Eli Scott, all guys that can grab boards, that can score down low, that are going to be going right into you. So it's going to be a battle inside for sure. I think that's going to be a battle of fruition. And when I look at the offense for UCI, there's turnover issues, there's first half scoring issues, or scoring issues in general. If you're not a D2 or less opponent. And with UC Irvine, the difference that I'm noticing this year, well, the defense just isn't up to par at this point of the season. 3 of their games have gone over against D1 competition is not because of them putting up their part. It's because of their opponent smashed them in the mouth. Granted, it is some tough opponents in San Diego State and Pepperdine, and I'll even say USC, even though they're a Pac-12 bunch of jamopes. But I'll say this. This is going to be their easiest game so far to date from my power rankings. But I think that Loyola Marymount's going to freaking welcome them into their building. There's a new look with Stan Johnson, a new tempo, a new style. And most importantly, Eli Scott doesn't have to do it all himself. He can go and get on the glass and bang on somebody. He can get to the free throw line because with a big body like that and how he scores the basketball, you're going to get hacked a lot. And even better now, he's got guys to distribute the basketball to. Joe Quintana is back from injury, doing a fantastic job with clutch three-point shooting, including against UC Santa Barbara. That cost me money. But having Damian Douglas at 6'7" and so athletic and able to get you 13 and 7, those are impressive production levels for guys that had a lot of question marks coming in. This team has really gelled well together, and I think that they continue to play well together at home. I'm looking at Loyola Marymount full game. I'm going to take that 3.5, no problemo. That's like freaking eating a chicken tender dipped in honey. I just do it, So we'll ride with them. I think that there is small amount of value on Loyola Loyola Marymount first half, but not enough to justify making a play on the show. I think as long as this team shoots well from the field and gets those high percentage looks, shoots over 50%, and gets to the free throw line and makes 70% of them, which they've shown an ability to do so in consecutive games, I think that UC Irvine's going to regret not having some better transfers in to play in their backcourt and not just relying on the front court duo of Welp and Brad Green.
Max, I can't get you a 3.5. In fact, both FanDuel and Circa have moved to 4.5, but Bet365 is still at 4. The only book that's still at 4.
Well, that is a bunch of rocks in a sock, but I will take the 4, Jim.
-4 and -110. That's available at Bet365, and that puts a bow on Max's card for Thursday, December 17th. Let's review your action, Max, and let me know if there's any mistakes here. You have South Illinois Salukis, full game -6.5 and -110 at Circa. You want them first half, and you have a limit of -4.5. Then we move on to Coastal Carolina. You're on the -19.5. That's at -106 at FanDuel, and you're looking for a team total. You have a limit of 89.5. You want to go over. Okay. Then you have what you want with Creighton is you want a first half between -3.5 to 4.5, and you want a Creighton team total under 40.5. You want to go over, right? Sorry. You want to go 40.5 is the limit you have, right?
Yes. Yeah. 40.5 is the limit for the team total in the first half.
And you want to go over that number. Okay.
Yes.
Then you have the Kansas Jayhawks at +2 and -110 available at Circa. Then we move on to the Dixie State Trailblazers. You have them full game at +11. You're looking for a first half. If I see a 5.5 or 6, I can take it. And you might wait on that to see if you can get a better number. Personally, in your action. Then you have the Seton Hall Pirates +4, -110 at Circa. And then you close shop with the Loyola Marymount Lions at -4, -110, available at Bet365. Does that all sound right?
Yes, sir.
Max, we have hit the black. We are +3.01 units. So next step, we got to clear 5 units. Let's get over 5 units. Then we go for double digits. So let's get us up over that 5-unit threshold. And great work. You've been in the black for the last 5 days, double-digit plus units in those days overall, and you've put yourself in a nice spot. You're sitting at 59 and 51, hitting at 53.6% plus 3.01 units, ROI plus 2.74%, average line -110. Great work, Max. Max, my man, any last words for these great cappers watching the show?
Yeah, I think that watching basketball games is going to benefit everyone and anyone. And just also remember, college basketball lines wait for nobody. This is not football. You do not have 7 days to make your move on a game. You got to be able to think fast, react fast, and click that button fast. So just keep that in mind for college basketball. That's the best way to beat it and not to get beat at the end of the game on spreads and totals.
I love it. Max, my man, great work. Let's make that cash tomorrow. On behalf of Maxwell Smart, myself, and everybody, odds.com, thank you guys so much for watching. Let's get paid.